Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the podcast. On today's Advanced Adjectives, we're going to have a look at 4 different compound adjectives for describing people. We're going to have a look at self-centered, kind-hearted, narrow-minded, and like-minded. And these are all high-level compound adjectives. Are you ready? Okay, so before we begin, I just want you to visualize something. Visualize is to think of something in your head and think about it so much that you can almost see it. I want you to visualize a room with 5 different chairs in it. And you are sitting in one of these chairs. But the 4 other chairs, they're empty. It's just you in the room. There's a door in the room. What color is the door? What's the door made of? Think about these little details for a second. And suddenly, the door swings open and a person walks in. And this is a person who means a lot to you. I want you to visualize a person that you look up to. Why do you look up to that person? Think of a person who helps others. Think of a person who puts other people first. Visualize that person. Remember, this is someone who means a lot to you. They're important for you. Think of something nice that they said or something nice that they did. Something that made you think, gee, this is a nice person. Got it? And that person takes a seat in one of the 4 chairs. Now the door swings open again and there's another person entering. And this person is a person who you always agree with. A person who always has the same opinion as you in a good way. Think of a friend. I'm guessing they're a friend. Someone that you can trust and someone that you have a lot in common with. You both like the same food. You both have the same political or social beliefs, for example. What's that? The door is opening again. And in march 2 people. They're not walking, they're marching in. They're loud. They're rude. Think of a person you don't like. Think of a person you despise. Think of a person who you do not agree with. You don't want to spend time with this person. Think of a person who, for lack of a better word, is an asshole. A person who only cares for themselves and that's it. Think of a person who holds opinions that are outdated. Who does not like change, who does not have progressive opinions and thinks that their opinion is the only important, correct opinion in the entire world. Visualize that person, visualize these people, and guess what? They're all sitting down at the table. Table? At the chairs. They're all sitting in the chairs. Excuse me. So look around. What adjectives would you use to describe these people? Mean, happy, angry, generous, confident, kind, caring? Well, as I said earlier, we're going to have a look at compound adjectives. And these compound adjectives we're looking at today can be used to describe the people who are sitting around you right now. Let's take a look at self-centered. Self-centered. Self-centered is a compound adjective for a person who's only concerned about themselves. For a person who doesn't care for anyone else. For a person that does not give a damn about anybody else in this world, they will only do something as long as it benefits them. Here's some examples. John is such a self-centered asshole. He never thinks about anyone else and only looks out for himself. I heard the old man saying that young people today are very self-centered. I kind of agree with him. But in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of older people not wearing masks. After the plane crashed in the ocean, John took 3 life jackets for himself. He is very self-centered. He even let his own mother drown. Oh, please, don't invite Mary. She only talks about herself and everything she does. It's hard to get a word in. She is so fucking self-centered. It drives me mad. That politician is a self-centered dickhead. Why? Why do you have to be so self-centered all the time? And do you think that people are more or less self-centered these days than in the past? Alright, did you catch all those examples? Did you hear how I used self-centered? Centered. You should go back and listen to those again and listen to the pronunciation of self-centered. John is such a self-centered asshole. Now that's a big insult for a person. You'd want to be careful saying that. Okay? Self-centered. You only care for yourself. So that's one person in the chairs. Let's have a look at another person. And the adjective we're going to use, the compound adjective, the other negative compound adjective, is narrow-minded. If you are narrow-minded, you are not willing to listen to anyone else. You do not tolerate other ideas. You lack tolerance overall, and you are unwilling to accept different ideas, customs, or behaviors. So it's very similar to self-centered. But if you're self-centered, you might not have a problem with other cultures or other customs or behaviors. But if you're narrow-minded, you have a problem. And you want everybody to conform to your way of life. So here are some examples. Listen up. I'll number them this time. Number 1. My grandfather got more narrow-minded as he got older. He started to hate immigrants more and more. You know, I think he actually forgot that he was an immigrant before. Number 2. Please don't be so narrow-minded and invite your sister. Who cares if she thinks you're going to hell because you love another man? Did you catch that one? I'll read it again. Number 2. Please don't be so narrow-minded and invite your sister. Who cares if she thinks you're going to hell because you love another man? That's an odd example. That's a person asking someone not to be narrow-minded because they have a sister who is narrow-minded. Number 3. The president is one of the most narrow-minded people there is. His followers are just as bad, and they are complicit. The president is one of the most narrow-minded people there is. His followers are just as bad, and they are complicit. I wish people are 5. I wish people were less narrow-minded. Other cultures really have a lot to offer our country. I wish people were less narrow-minded. Other cultures really have a lot to offer our country. And number 6. In 20 years, we will look back at all these narrow-minded people and laugh at how stupid their views and opinions were. In 20 years, we will look back at all these narrow-minded people and laugh at how stupid their views and opinions were. Alright, folks, that's narrow-minded. So now, narrow-minded, remember, you are not willing to listen to anyone else, you do not tolerate other ideas, and you are unwilling to accept different ideas, different customs, or behaviors. It's not a good trait at all. Alright? Now, let's have a look at the other people in the room. So remember, we had 2 negative people and 2 really positive people that we liked. And for the negative people, by all means, call them self-centered. Call them kind-hearted, because that's what they are. Kind-hearted? No, don't call them kind-hearted. Call them narrow-minded and self-centered. Excuse me. I'm just looking at kind-hearted right now. So let's talk about kind-hearted. Alright, if you're kind-hearted, you have a kind and sympathetic nature about you. You show a lot of care and kindness for other people. You're always thinking of other people, even strangers. If you see a stranger struggling, you kind of want to help them. You're willing to go out of your way to help other people. That's kind-hearted. That's good. So kind-hearted is a very, very positive adjective compound adjective for describing people. Well, let's take a look at some examples. Number 1. We need a kind-hearted president to lead our country, not the asshole who's there now. We need a kind-hearted president to lead our country, not the asshole who's there now. Number 2. I thought my neighbor was kind-hearted. He would always go around the side of the house and take out our garbage. Then I realized he was going around the side of the house to stand on the garbage and peek in the window of our shower. Guess you don't really know someone. I thought my neighbor was kind-hearted. He would always go around the side of the house and take out our garbage. Then I realized he was going around the side of the house to stand on the garbage and peek in the window at our shower. Guess you never really know someone. Number 3. Canadians have the reputation of being very kind-hearted. Canadians have the reputation of being very kind-hearted. And number 4. He's a very kind-hearted man. He nursed a squirrel back to health after he found it hurt on the sidewalk. However, he then ate the squirrel, so I'm not really sure how kind-hearted he is. He's a kind-hearted man. He nursed a squirrel back to health after he found it hurt on the sidewalk. However, he then ate the squirrel, so I'm not sure how kind-hearted he really is. Did you catch all those? Did you catch the way I say kind-hearted? The pronunciation is very important because all of these adjectives, these compound adjectives, they all end in ED. And we'll get to the pronunciation in a second. But let's take a look at some examples of like-minded. So remember, there's only one person left in the room. And this is the person who you're friends with. This is the person who you always agree with. The person who likes the same things you like. The person who likes the same politics that you like. Who likes the same civil programs or progress that you like. So here are some examples. I just moved to a new town. I need to find some like-minded people. Again, number 1. I just moved to a new town. I need to find some like-minded people. Number 2. I moved away from my home country because there were no like-minded people there. I moved away from my home country because there were no like-minded people there. Number 3. Sarah and Mary are very like-minded. They both love cooking, both love whiskey, and sometimes both can be a little bit conservative. Sarah and Mary are very like-minded. They both love cooking, both love whiskey, and both are a little narrow-minded. A little conservative. Number 4. It's important to branch out and meet non-like-minded people. You get a better view of life that way. Number 4. It's important to branch out and meet non-like-minded people. You get a better view of life that way. To branch out is to get out there and make friends with new people. Okay, so overall, there's 4 compound adjectives. Kindhearted, like-minded, self-centered, narrow-minded. So now you really need to try and make your own sentences. If you want to remember these, you need some output yourself. You need to practice making sentences with these compound adjectives. Now, the compound adjectives are written below in the description of this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you just got to scroll down. If you're on Spotify, look at the description. And try to make some different examples using this. You can write your examples. You can speak your examples to yourself, to a friend. Try to think of someone who is narrow-minded. Think of someone who is like-minded to yourself. Think of someone who's kind-hearted, and think of someone who is self-centered. Maybe you can write a little paragraph about that person and then explain why. Think of other ways to say these compound adjectives. If a person is kind, if a person is caring, they are kind-hearted. And how much? Put a quantifier in there. Are they a little kind-hearted or extremely kind-hearted? A little self-centered or extremely self-centered? What about a bit narrow-minded? And sometimes they're a bit self-centered. Is that always a bad thing? I don't know. You decide. And furthermore, you should also listen back to the examples and try to catch any phrasal verbs, try to catch any expressions, anything like that. Write them down on paper. And if you don't know them, send them to me and I'll make a podcast dedicated to it. So overall, my name's Ronan. I am not a fan of narrow-minded people. I am not a fan of self-centered people. I love like-minded people and I love kind-hearted people. And if there is a person who is narrow-minded or self-centered, don't get angry at them. Show them some love and try to teach them why it's better to be open-minded or kind-hearted or like-minded to yourself. My name's Ronan. You can catch me on Instagram, on YouTube, on your favorite podcast player. Do me a favor. Share this podcast with someone. Send it to a friend. How about this? Send it to a friend who's kind-hearted and send it to a friend who's self-centered. That's your homework. Please leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. If you're going to leave a bad comment, just message me directly. But overall, I hope you are happy. I hope you are healthy. I hope you have a great rest of your day. This is the English on the Road podcast. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.